Hello everyone, it's Yvonne back to do your bonus read. We're going to use the Muse Tarot for your bonus read today. I've been shuffling in between the readings, but I'll give them a little bit more of a little shuffle here. And we'll, no, not ready. That's better, okay. And we'll go from there. Okay, so we have the Chariot coming through first. The Chariot is a card that represents Cancer. Cancer is the sign. It is also a card that represents the possibilities of moving forward. Now, in this particular card, we see horses running very, very quickly here. But in the traditional cards, the horses are not moving, or the chariot is not moving forward, because whatever's pulling it is at a standstill. And the idea of this card is saying to you that there is the promise of forward movement once you have everything in order. It's about pulling your opposing forces together. Now, if you have a look at the traditional tarot, the horses, the sphinxes, whatever is in front of the chariot are pulling in two different directions. So once we see that, we understand that the chariot is not going to move forward if both the animals are going in opposite directions. So very often those animals are either at a standstill or you can see them pulling apart. And what this means is there is an opportunity here for you to move forward, but in order to do that, you've got to have everything pointing in the same direction. So for example, a relationship can't move forward if two people are not on the same page. If you have completely different opposing ideas, even at work, it's very difficult to align to bring something into fruition if both of you are looking at things in a very different way. All right, so we have here the Seven of Wands coming through. Wow, there is something you are fighting for here. There is something that you are standing your ground on. There is something that needs to move forward, but it can't where you are or the way you're coming at it. You're coming at this from the wrong perspective here. Okay, and we have the Star card. There is healing to be done when the Star card comes through. It talks about destiny. It talks about things being right on your path. It talks about moving in the right direction. But it also talks about something that needs to be healed before you can move forward. At the moment, it's like you're fighting against it here and not accepting that this thing, this part, this maybe part of you needs healing before you can move forward. All right, because we have awakening coming through. You know, I hear people talking about awakenings all the time, and I feel, you know, some people sort of have these huge bolts of lightning that start their awakening, and other people sort of gradually do it, and they are given opportunities or epiphanies to learn how to awaken, but it's a much more slow process. And I feel like for many of us, we get a combination of both. So we have these bang on moments that really sort of hit us so hard, and we realize there is something about ourselves that is unhealed. And other times you may get little indications where you stop. Now, I feel the more you get into your awakening, and for me, an awakening is a very long process. It's not something that just comes as a one-off. A stage may come as a bang, but it takes time, because every time, and I always say it's like peeling back an onion. Every time you peel back a layer, you get on and you move on and you think, right, and I know a lot of people will relate to this, because people will say to me, I think, oh, you know, another lesson. Because what happens is when you remove something, or you tear something back, or you remove a layer, there is another layer in there that sits, and you may think, well, I'm doing really well, I feel this, I'm going great guns at this, and then all of a sudden something new is shown to you. And I feel this something here is being shown to you here in regards to who you are. I feel like this awakening is a big one though. I don't feel like it's a little awakening. I feel like this is huge. So it may be, for example, that you can't launch something. I always feel that for many people, there is a layer of something very often stopping them from reaching an abundance. And it can be their past still sort of it's like it's band-aiding a wound, right? And it may be that you can remove the band-aid, but it's not quite healed, so you cover it up with another band-aid. But you, in that meantime, you may get a little bit of healing, but then the band-aid goes back, and then it has to be sitting there for a while before it can be moved, and you can get your next stage. And I feel like some of you have been through quite a bit of this process, but you're not quite where you need to be. And you may realize this, you may understand this, you may think to yourself, because I always say to people, when they say I don't feel like I've healed or whatever, I say to them, you look at yesterday, you have to look at this time last year or the year before and where you were in order to understand how much you have learned. And it feels to me like you may have already done quite a lot of learning, but something big is happening here, because I feel like it's like a spring and it's unraveled to a certain point, but now there's like a big pyong, like a big push forward here with the Temperance card. It's almost like you've gone from trickle, trickle, trickle into a big wave coming through. So something is about to hit here. 9 of Swords coming through. Wow, and the Moon. Something big is on its way here. I feel like something big is on its way, and I feel like, as I said, it's trickled for a long time, and maybe you've understood what you've been going through. Maybe you've been working on those little steps, but you are now ready to take a big leap. Now, the Queen of Swords for me is that energy of being very assertive, very outspoken, very much standing in your own power with the Ace of Swords. And to me, it feels like you've trickled, 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 trickled. Example. Say you're learning to speak up for yourself, right? And you have learned to be assertive. You're opening your throat chakra and you're learning to speak up. The first time you do that and you speak up for yourself, you may come across as a little aggressive, which pretty much all of us have experienced. Feels good though. You might be shaking because you've had to do it, but it feels good that you've finally spoken up. But it may come across as aggressive, and then people will go, what is wrong with Yvonne? What is wrong with her? There's something wrong here. Because you've done something that is really unfamiliar to them when you've maybe always acted in a certain way. But as you become more comfortable with opening your throat chakra, eventually you'll start to say things and they will come out very assertive. They will not be aggressive, but you will make your point heard. So you may learn to speak up for yourself and feel really comfortable with that. And this may have been what you've been doing along the way, but what is happening here, it's almost like there is another layer that needs to be undone here. So you've been learning all the little steps, but now you're about to take this giant leap. So it's almost like the universe is saying here, you're ready to take on the energy of the Queen of Swords because you've been practicing something for a long time in that 9 of Swords, and now it's time to hit the 10 and get it out of the way. I feel that's what they're saying. All right, so we have the Page of Pentacles coming through, always a gift from the universe. The Hanged Muse or the Hanged Man with the 9 of Wands. Okay, see, repeating pattern here. And the Queen of Wands. So you're taking on the energy of the Queen of Wands here. Okay, I feel like here, because this Page of Pentacles for me is always something that comes as a gift from the universe. It's something to do with your karma that you are being shown. The Hanged Man tells me that somehow or another you're seeing something from a new perspective, and this time around you're going to do it differently. Why? Because the 9 of Wands says to me you're repeating a pattern that has come to the end and needs to be cleared from your energy because it's creating negative energy for you. The Queen of Wands tells me that you have to stand in your power to achieve this. So it's like you are doing something because you've discovered you've been doing it in a way for so long that hasn't really served you. And you are taking the lead here in something. Whatever this is, you have seen it from a different perspective. You've realized you've been repeating a pattern and you are now ready to change what you've been doing. Okay, look at this, beautiful. And you're stepping into the energy of the Empress. So what have you been holding yourself back from? Because whatever this is, you are about to launch yourself into something huge here. I see the stars, I see the heavens, I see you reaching new heights. Because you've started to understand how you've played it small for a really long time. Whatever this is for you, it is repeating. You have been repeating a pattern and it's been creating pain for you. But this time around, you're doing it differently with this Queen of Wands. You know your power. You know you have the power to change something. You're seeing it here with this Hanged Man. But this time you're seeing it differently. This time you are feeling very, very much like you are ready to take that. So instead of, it sort of reminds me a little bit of the losing weight thing. You know, if you think I've got 10 kilos to lose, 10 kilos is such a lot to lose. And you know it's going to take 10 weeks and that is overwhelming. So what they say is if you just say, well, I want to lose a kilo and you work for the 1 kilo, then eventually each one of those ones becomes the 10. But what it in fact does is it gives you power over the 1 kilo because you know you can achieve that quickly and it sort of gives you more power doing it that way. And I feel like that's what you've done here. It's almost like you've bitten, grabbed. It's just beautiful energy. Something here is showing you how powerful you are. All right. Oh, then we have the Sun. Oh my goodness. And we have the King of Pentacles coming through here. I feel like some of you are ready to make your name in something. You're ready to reap your fortune. You're ready here to take here what is rightfully yours, your birthright. Whether this is your fame, your fortune, whatever it is for you here, you are ready to uptake this. So you've been holding yourself back for a really long time. You've been holding yourself in place and you've been biting. And the universe is saying here, it's ready to take. It's ready for you to have now. Whatever you've been working on, it's ready to fall into your lap. I'm excited. We have the Justice card. Of course we do. With the Ace of Wands coming through. The Three of Swords at the end here. Now, I'm feeling here with this Three of Swords, for some of you, you are letting go of some sort of heartache or pain here that you've been creating for yourself for such a long time. You're putting down a burden. It's very 10 of Wands energy. Whatever this burden is, it has created some sort of pain within you. So for example, if it's something you've been doing in relationships that you are learning about, this Three of Swords, you're leaving it behind. If it's something you're doing at work, then you are learning. Instead of just packing up the job and walking away because you're being bullied, you are learning that it's much better to stand up for yourself with that Queen of Wands. If it's a pattern of behavior that you have created with your own family that you are still carrying on your back here, you are putting it down. You may have worked at all of these things for a very long time, but finally you are free of this burden. All right, whatever it is, you are moving away and the opposing forces are going to be put into their rightful place. There is no need for you to feel defensive or feel that you have to fight for things. It's going to become natural to you within the star. And this is a part of this awakening you're going through that's going to bring you into the balance of the Temperance. You will be putting down the anxiety and the stress and moving into a new unknown place where you are taking on the energy of the Queen of Swords. What that says to me is you are leaving behind a part of you. I almost want to say it's that part of you that is acting from your inner child. It's the part of you that's acting from your inner child where you felt you had to stand up and fight all the time. And we're taught that, aren't we? You know, you need to stick up for yourself. You need to stand up for yourself. But you don't have to fight that. You can do it without fighting. You can learn to speak up and have people listen without feeling you've got to fight for it. Whatever it is here, you've been working at it for a long while, but it's finally here, about to reap the rewards. I love it. I love it. You won't walk away this time. You won't suffer, you won't be in pain anymore. You are learning here, look at this, Eight of Swords. You are learning to let go of some sort of mentality you've been carrying. There's the Chariot again. And getting your opposing forces moving in the right direction. Two of Cups coming through. For some of you, this is definitely within relationships here. Definitely. There is an energy here that something has been standing. Wow, I've never seen the Three of Cups like that before. For some of you, maybe it is a relationship. Maybe you've had relationships with that Nine of Swords, that you have found relationships have gone the same way, or that you've been attracting the same kind of relationship. Because the Three of Cups here is appearing to me to be very different. It's like the Two of Cups, but something has always stood between you and what you want. It may not have been a person, it may have been an energy. And this time around, you are moving that third cup and moving it into a place of self-love so that you can accept the Two of Cups. So maybe this pattern has stopped you realizing, for example, your love of self within a relationship. Holy dooly. All right, let's have a look at a Starseed Oracle. I feel like that's for some of you. I feel like I'm really strongly talking to people in a work situation though, where you're constantly being the one that is doing all the work. We've all been in that situation before. Breath of the cosmos, my will to thy will, micromanaging the universe. Okay, let's see what that says. When we rely only on our own will, we're micromanaging the universe and resisting the natural flow of life. That's fighting for it, you see. We're not trusting the mysterious breath of life. We're rejecting the great cosmic intelligence and relying instead on our personal strength. When we do this, we find ourselves attempting to bend things to our will. We spend our time forcing, pushing, and living from a space of trying to. Everyone around us can feel it, and the universe can too. You are being called to stop micromanaging the universe and trust the breath of life, to surrender to the greater will that God has for you, to move my will to thy will. When you surrender to the greater will of life, you begin dancing with the rest of life. When you bow to the great mystery and say, please use me, please show me the way, little by little you find yourself living your most fulfilling, authentic life. When you surrender your personal will, when you relinquish control and realize the way you think things should be and surrender to the greater will, you find yourself being led. You begin breathing the breath of life. So I feel like here the universe is saying to you, you're still trying to push against something that should feel natural to accept and flow with. I feel like you're trying to sort of push yourself against something rather than just allowing it. So you may be becoming defensive, angry, upset, resistant, when in reality, if you were to stand back and just come from where you have learnt to come from, then all of this would fall away, but you're still sort of fighting it. So say, for example, you know, when you're at work, why do you walk away when somebody sort of calls on you to do overtime when everybody else has gone home and you're left carrying that responsibility again? Instead of fighting for it and getting angry about it, it's much easier just to say no. I feel like that's really a lot for many of you here. Just learning the word no. All right, I'll leave you with that. Thank you for watching.